6:45, this is the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. The news edited by Danushka Madhavala, read by Soundhi Thavam. The President says he is not ready to divide the country at all. The Gazette notification on the prorogation of the third session of the 9th Parliament was issued. Parliament to be prorogued. The Public Utilities Commission requests to inform in writing if power cuts are continuing. The Power and Energy Minister seeks legal action against the Human Rights Commission threatening ministry officials. Special traffic arrangements will be in place around Independence Square in Colombo due to the rehearsals for the upcoming Independence Day celebrations. The Japanese ambassador to Sri Lanka said that the Sri Lankan government should implement reforms and urgently execute measures to curb corruption. Tiny radioactive capsule goes missing in Western Australia. President Ranil Wickremesinghe said he is bound to implement the existing law in accordance with the executive powers of the President. Addressing the all-party conference, the President further said the 13th Amendment to the Constitution is being implemented accordingly, or the Parliament should abolish the 13th Amendment. The President Wickremesinghe also pointed out that any parliamentarian could move a private member's bill to abolish the 13th Amendment to the Constitution, and the same amendment would have to be implemented provided that the bill was voted against by the majority of the House. The President stressed that he was not ready to divide the country at all and would not betray the Sinhalese nation as well. President Wickremesinghe made these comments at the all-party conference which was held at the Presidential Secretariat on Thursday. He added that it is his responsibility as the executive to carry out the current law. For approximately 37 years, the 13th Amendment has been a part of the Constitution. He said he must implement, or someone has to abolish it, by way of a 22nd Amendment to the Constitution by moving a private member's bill. If the bill was voted against by the majority in the House, then the 13th Amendment would have to be implemented. The Gazette notification on the prorogation of the third session of the 9th Parliament was issued by the President's Secretary, Mr. Saman Ekanaika, and will be effective from midnight last night. Accordingly, President Ranil Wickremesinghe is scheduled to ceremoniously inaugurate the fourth session of the 9th Parliament at 10 a.m. on February 8th. It is a tradition for the President to deliver his government's policy statement at the commencement of a new session of Parliament. Accordingly, the policy statement to be implemented in the country from the 75th Independence celebration in 2023 until the centenary celebration in 2048, consisting of new policies, new laws and acts proposed to be implemented for the betterment of the country, irrespective of party, colour or caste discrimination, will be presented to Parliament. The Public Utilities Commission of Sri Lanka has requested electricity consumers to inform the PUCSL if any unauthorised power cuts are imposed by the Ceylon Electricity Board. The PUCSL said complaints can be directed in writing. The PUCSL wrote to the CEB informing to ensure an uninterrupted power supply during the 2022 Advanced Level Examination. The PUCSL Chairman Janaka Ratnayaka in his letter stated, the Commission has granted approval for all requests made by the transmission licensee for the scheduled power interruptions made from 18th February 2022 to the 25th of January 2023. However, he said the PUCSL will not approve any scheduled power cut interruption from the 26th of January 2023 until the 17th of February 2023 in order to safeguard the human rights of 331,709 candidates sitting the A-level examination. However, power cuts have been reported in several parts of the country, regardless of the directives issued by the PUCSL. This is the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation giving you the news. The Power and Energy Minister Kanchana Wijesekara says that they have taken advice on the legal measures that can be taken against the action taken by the members of the Human Rights Commission regarding the power cuts during the GC Advanced Level Examination period. According to the Minister, the authorities in the electricity sector have taken formal advice from the legal departments regarding the members of the Human Rights Commission for forcing to accept agreements to provide uninterrupted power supply during the examination period. The minister said in a tweet that he was informed that the Human Rights Commission members have obtained 2 documents by threatening to imprison the ministry officials who held talks with the Commission. On a Twitter post, the minister said the Secretary to the Ministry of Power and Energy informed him that the officials who took part in the discussion with the Human Rights Commission has informed that they have been pressurized to sign 2 documents that they did not agree to by the 2 members of the Commission, threatening with jail sentences. The police have announced special traffic arrangements that will be in place around Independence Square in Colombo due to the rehearsals for the upcoming Independence Day celebrations. The 75th Independence Day celebration of Sri Lanka is scheduled to commence at 6 a.m. on February 4th. Accordingly, the rehearsals for the parade will be held daily from today between 5 a.m. and 12 p.m. That concludes local news.
The main news story is brought to you by Siddhalepa Vedamahatmya.
President Ranil Wickremesinghe said he is bound to implement the existing law in accordance with the executive powers of the President. Addressing the all-party conference, the President further said the 13th Amendment to the Constitution is being implemented. Accordingly, all the Parliament should abolish the 13th Amendment, and came to you in the main news story.
The main news story was brought to you by Siddhalepa Vedamahatmya.
Brush your teeth twice a day for healthy teeth and gums. Supiriviki and Kakulu, your trusted brands in oral care for many years.
Supiriviki Ayurvedic toothpaste for adults. Kakulu Ayurvedic toothpaste for kids. 9 Ayurvedic ingredients of Supiriviki will protect your teeth and strengthen your gums. Supiriviki and Kakulu, products from Siddhalepa.
On to Watchlight, the Japanese ambassador to Sri Lanka, Mizukoshi Hideki, said that the Sri Lankan government should implement reforms and urgently execute measures to curb corruption. He said that major creditors to Sri Lanka, such as China, India and Japan, have spelled out positive sentiments towards debt restructuring, and the IMF staff-level agreement too seems to be on the cards, and Sri Lanka on their part has to undertake reforms and bring in new laws to curb corruption. The Japanese ambassador said that Sri Lanka went through its worst economic crisis, starting from the Easter Sunday attacks, followed by the COVID-19 pandemic, Ukraine-Russia war, and the local economic crisis. Quote, Sri Lanka has now a golden opportunity to bounce back, and this is the last chance Sri Lanka will have to do so. And to come out of this current economic crisis, Sri Lanka should do their part, unquote, and that came to you in Watchlight.
Coming up, World News.
Making headlines this morning, tiny radioactive capsule goes missing in Western Australia. Auckland City, New Zealand declares emergency after torrential rain. And gold-covered mummy among latest discoveries in Egypt. An urgent search is underway in Western Australia after a tiny capsule containing a radioactive substance went missing. The casing contains a small quantity of radioactive cesium-137, which could cause serious illness if touched. It was lost between the town of Newman and the city of Perth in mid-January, a distance of roughly 870 miles. The public has been warned to stay away from the capsule if they see it. It was being transported on a truck between a mine site north of Newman in Pilbara region and the northeastern parts of Perth between the 10th to the 16th of January when it was mislaid. Cesium-137 is a substance commonly used in mining operations. New Zealand's largest city has declared a state of emergency after torrential rain prompted widespread flooding and evacuations. Friday's downpour in Auckland shifted houses, stalled traffic and cut power to homes and businesses. The city is said to have received 75% of its usual summer rainfall in just 15 hours. The impacts of the last 24 hours will be felt by many in Auckland for a long time, said the national forecaster. Auckland's Mayor Wayne Brown has confirmed media reports that a body has been found in Wairau Valley on Auckland's North Shore. Mr. Brown has said he was deeply saddened by the news. The police have not confirmed whether the death is linked to the flooding. Archaeologists say they have found a gold leaf-covered mummy sealed inside a sarcophagus that has been not been opened for 4,300 years. The mummy, the remains of a man named Hekashepes, is thought to be one of the oldest and most complete non-royal corpses ever found in Egypt. It was discovered down a 15-meter shaft at a burial site south of Cairo. Saqqara, where 3 other tombs are found. One tomb belonged to a secret keeper. The largest of the mummies that were unearthed at the ancient necropolis is said to belong to a man called Kudumdajef, a priest, inspector, and a supervisor of nobles. Another belonged to a man called Mary, who is a senior palace official given the title of secret keeper, which allowed him to perform special religious rituals. Back to the headlines of the world news. Tiny radioactive capsule goes missing in Western Australia. Auckland City, New Zealand declares emergency after torrential rain. And gold-covered mummy among latest discoveries in Egypt. That concludes this bulletin of world news.
Development news.
The Columbus South Port is to be developed by the China Merchant Port Company, its existing venture CICT and SLPA, as a public-private partnership project with an investment of $150 million. Sri Lanka is all set to roll out the first phase of the proposed Columbus South Port Development Project as a public-private partnership with the approval of the Cabinet, and came to you in development news.
Sports news is brought to you by
Sampath Bank, we present your future.
England carelessly fell to a 27-run defeat in the first one-day international against South Africa, despite Jason Roy's belligerent century. And on the day Jofra Archer made his comeback from injury, opener Roy crashed a 79-ball century to seemingly put his side on course for a comfortable victory in pursuit of 299. He powered England to 146 for no loss inside 20 overs and 196 for 3 in the 30th over before he was caught on the boundary for 113 from 91 balls. But the wicket of Moeen Ali 4 overs later began a collapse of 6 wickets for 49 runs in the face of fiery fast bowling. And Anrich Nortje took 3 for 13 in a 4-over spell, and England were bowled out for 271 in with 5.4 overs to go to complete a remarkable turnaround. Rassie van der Dusen had earlier hit a measured 111 from 117 balls in South Africa's 298 for 7. That's sports news. Business news up next.
Go ekathiana youth ekat life eke change ekat niyameta set wenna as wahagena dagapuhina habe karanna youth ekat niyameta set wenna friendship eka menna.
The all new NSB Ithru account, NSB IAM, a plan for your dream.
Business news sponsored by National Savings Bank, the safest place for your money.
Indian billionaire Gautam Adani saw more than $20 billion wiped off his fortune on Friday after investors fled his companies for a second day, prompted by fraud claims made by a US investment firm. The Adani Group has dismissed the report as malicious, but the response has failed to stem the uproar. India's main opposition party has demanded an investigation. The firm's publicly listed companies have lost about $50 billion in market value. Shares in the firm's flagship Adani Enterprises dropped by nearly 20% on Friday, while some of the group's other publicly listed firms tumbled even further, triggering automatic halts in trading in Mumbai. That's business news. Economic news up next. And moving on to economic news, Sri Lanka's premier footwear and leather fair, organized by the Sri Lanka Footwear and Leather Products Manufacturers Association, in collaboration with the Ministry of Industries, Industrial Development Board and the Export Development Board, will be held from February 3rd to the 5th at the BMICH from 10 a.m. to 9 p.m. The fair, which is becoming an international fair with the participation of suppliers of raw material, accessories and machinery from China, India and Pakistan, was unable to be held during the last 2 years due to the pandemic in the country. This will be the 13th edition of the fair, which commenced in 2007. The fair will be inaugurated by the Minister of Industries, Dr. Ramesh Pathirana, on February 3rd. And moving on to the weather report. The Met Department forecast that showers or thundershowers will occur at a few places in the western, Sabaragamu and southern provinces and in the Kandy and Norelia districts during the afternoon or night. A few showers will occur in the Uva province and in the Batticaloa and Ampara districts. To conclude this bulletin of news, a recap of the headlines. The President says he is not ready to divide the country at all. The Gazette notification on the prorogation of the third session of the 9th Parliament was issued. Parliament to be prorogued. The Public Utilities Commission requests to inform in writing if power cuts are continuing. The Power and Energy Minister seeks legal action against Human Rights Commission threatening ministry officials. Special traffic arrangements will be in place around Independence Square in Colombo due to the rehearsals for the upcoming Independence Day celebrations. The Japanese ambassador to Sri Lanka said that the Sri Lankan government should implement reforms and urgently execute measures to curb corruption. And tiny radioactive capsule goes missing in Western Australia. With that, we conclude this morning's news broadcast.